From 5,000 feet above sea level, in beautiful Pueblo, Colorado, the monsters have gathered at the Colorado State Fairgrounds as the United States Hot Rod Association brings Monster Truck Challenge high in the sky. And we've brought 7 of the top monster trucks anywhere in the world to Pueblo for Monster Truck Challenge. Now, the thin air at this altitude has caused a lot of problems with fuel systems, and the monster truck crews are constantly having to work to tune in, dial in, and get things set for this very, very tough track. Straight line racing, but a long set of cars and a hole in between. And you are here. Strap in, buckle up, because Monster Truck Challenge is on the air on ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
Pueblo, Colorado. It's in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. Hey, they know something about horsepower in these parts. Those who are used to handling only 1 horsepower at a time had a real thrill when the big boys of the U.S. Hot Rod Association rolled into the Colorado State Fairgrounds, checking in at more than 1,000 horses each. Hello again, everybody. I'm Ken Brew. Welcome to the USHRA's Monster Truck Challenge right here on ESPN, the Total Sports Network. Now, in addition to horsepower, the folks in Pueblo know all about thin air. You see, the higher you get above sea level, the less oxygen there is in the air. Hence the term, thin air. It forces fighter pilots to wear oxygen masks, and it had the monster truck crews in Pueblo tweaking the fuel systems to get the most powerful mixture of fuel and air. I guess you could say the monsters had a Rocky Mountain high when they got to Pueblo, but they were ready to race. When they got to the starting line, this is the way the lineup looked. David Morris covered the course in 4.33 seconds. That gave Equalizer a first-round bye as the fast qualifier. Oh, by the way, the only other truck with a sub-5-second qualifying time, Gravedigger, 4.56 seconds. Now, the first round gets underway with a race between Carolina Crusher. Now, it has Gary Wiggins subbing for Gary Porter, and Tough Enough with Joey Pittman at the controls. Next up, we're going to see Rob Morris in Four Wheel Crazy and Rob Grossman in King Crunch. And our final first-round race is between Joe Johnson's American Made and Lyle Hancock in Gravedigger. So we got Gary versus Gary, Rob versus Rob, and then Lyle versus Joe. Speaking of Joe, here's Joe Lowe with all the action.
A sellout crowd in Pueblo, Colorado to watch the monsters run. And Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher being piloted by Gary Wiggins out of Wadesboro, North Carolina.
Well, the competition here is real good tonight, and it's going to take a lot of, just getting used to the track first and then getting used to setting the truck up, and we're hoping we can do our best at it.
Now, who do you think is going to be your biggest competitor here this evening?
Well, we got Equalizer here, and he'll probably be, I'd say, the toughest truck that's here right now.
What do you think it's going to take to win?
All the way, just as hard as it'll go.
Gary's going up against Joey Pittman and Tough Enough. Out of Phoenix, Arizona, Joey has had his share of problems today, and he talks about them.
We have a short in our radio somewhere. It's happened a few times this year. It's hurt us when we land on the ground. It kills the truck prematurely, but we can't run without it working. So we were in a mad, frantic rush to get this thing fixed. We wouldn't be able to run tonight, but we got it running right now. We borrowed one of the radios from another guy, so everything's working all right.
That radio is a part of the remote ignition to interrupt, a safety feature of the USHRA. Look at this. Off the line, Gary Wiggins has a great reaction time, catches Joey Pittman napping, and the Carolina Crusher gets our first win here tonight. A beautiful Colorado sky and a capacity crowd watching Gary Wiggins pilot the Carolina Crusher to a win. It happened on the line. Joey Pittman just could not catch up. And the Carolina Crusher moves on to round number 2 in Monster Truck Challenge. That was a great run for the Crusher. Our next matchup, Rob Morris and Four Wheel Crazy out of Texas, Burleson, Texas to be exact. He's going up against another Texan, Rob Grossman from Spring, Texas, and the Auto Value King Crunch. Now, Rob talks about the problems he's had with the high altitude and the fuel systems.
You have to work with the injection system on the blowers. The change of altitude, especially where we're at, is going to be a big problem for me. But I'm sure we'll get it worked out after tonight if it is a problem. The air's a lot thinner up here, so you have to change the pills in the injection system and adjust a few other things.
Well, let's see if all those adjustments worked as the green light comes on and Four-Wheel Crazy gets it off the line, but King Crunch battles back, and it's a photo finish. Photo finish. Four-Wheel Crazy was off the line first. Rob Grossman had a battle to catch up, and it is a photo finish. The United States Hot Rod Association announces that the winner by half a tire length is the Auto Value King Crunch. Rob Grossman comes from behind and defeats Rob Morris, his fellow Texan, and the Auto Value King Crunch moves on to round number 2 of Monster Truck Challenge. You can see it there, a come-from-behind victory for King Crunch. A sell-out crowd watching American-made go against the Gravedigger. Joe Johnson up in American-made out of Tucson, Arizona. There he is wearing his United States Hot Rod Association hat. But he's going up against the most feared monster truck in the world today, Lyle Hancock, out of Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina, driving Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger. They're on the line. The Digger with the red headlights on. There's the green light. And Digger gets the reaction off the line, the whole shot, and he just doesn't look back from start to finish. An impressive win as Gravedigger smokes American-made. And American-made just didn't seem to have any power at all. Fuel problems from this high altitude? Let's check with Joe Johnson and see.
We're running fat, and I put another pill in it, and it was way too lean, and we're going to have to work on it some.
Now, when you say you're giving it another pill, what does that mean?
The injection system that we have, there's a return line on it, and a pill is a little round brass thing with a hole drilled in it, and you, by the size of the hole that's in the pill, regulates the pressure on the injectors on the nozzles, so you can raise or lower your pressure by how much fuel you return to the tank.
We told you at the top of the show about the impact of the thin air in Colorado. In fact, you heard Joe Johnson blame American-made's loss to Gravedigger on his inability to figure out the proper fuel-to-air mixture for the high altitude in Pueblo. Lyle Hancock sure had the mixture figured out. Gravedigger obviously had full power in that first round action. Now, you also heard Joey Pittman talking about having to borrow a radio from another truck. The radio he was talking about is a U.S. Hot Rod Association remote ignition interrupt system. Very important safety feature in monster truck racing. As a matter of fact, we're going to tell you more about that when Monster Truck Challenge continues in just a moment. Well, welcome back to the U.S. Hot Rod Association's Monster Truck Challenge. This action on this program is coming to you from the Colorado State Fairgrounds in Pueblo, Colorado. Now, in the first round, Tough Enough had problems with its remote ignition interrupt system. Since you can't race in the U.S. Hot Rod Association competition without this important safety equipment, we figured it might be a good time to tell you what it's all about. And what better fellow to do that than from the USHRA, Ned Walliser. All right, the remote ignition interrupt, fancy title. What does it mean, Ned?
Yeah, a big name for such a simple device. What it is, it's just a receiver that is mounted onto each and every truck that runs our circuit, and also a transmitter, which is held by the official at the race. This system is used to shut the engine off if the official feels he needs to do so.
So this actually goes on the truck, and the official has that right on the field, right?
Right on site at the end of the track. We have 2 officials, 1 official per truck.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of shows, certainly here on Monster Truck Challenge. When you guys show up at an event, the trucks just don't roll out there and start going. There's a very lengthy security and safety inspection that they go through. Help me out with this. What is that all about?
Well, that is correct. They do go through a safety tech inspection. Each truck has several safety items that are installed on the truck, such as a transmission blanket, drive shaft loops, braking systems, and of course the most important, the ignition interrupt system. We test that system in tech inspection and make sure that it does work properly. And also when the truck comes to the line, to the starting line, we make sure that it is functioning properly there. The truck comes to the line, it is started, we shut the truck off. If the ignition interrupt system does not work, the truck does not compete.
Now, what's the red light I see inside the truck? What's that?
That is strictly for the official. It indicates that the system is installed and properly functioning.
Okay. Now, I know the sport is evolving from a safety standpoint. Where have we been and where are we going?
Well, we hope we're going to great lengths. In years past, we had a system that was as easy as an on-off button and a button to press to shut the truck off. Very simple. In today's standards, we have this system, which is a multi-channel. Each truck has its own channel, so we can designate which truck we are controlling.
So this one's going to the museum then, huh?
That is correct.
Ned, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ned Walliser from the USHRA. Now, there's more action to come from Colorado, and we'll bring it to you in just a second when Monster Truck Challenge continues right here on ESPN. Don't go away. Welcome back, everybody. You know, we love to hear from you. Really, truly, we do. We'd like you to write any questions you may have about technology or anything else about monster truck racing. We'd like you to hear from the experts at the U.S. Hot Rod Association so you can get their answers to your questions. Well, as a matter of fact, just drop us a line at the U.S. HRA Monster Truck Challenge. Our address is 477 East Butterfield, Suite 400, Lombard, Illinois, and the zip code is 60148. Speaking of the mail, our Alert Viewer Envelope Art Award goes to Jonathan McCallum of Louisville, Kentucky. Now, Jonathan is obviously a Gravedigger fan, and he likes to watch our show with his pal Steve Morgan. Thanks for watching, guys, and well, great work with the art. All right, time to go back to Pueblo, Colorado, round 2 in our battle for the championship at the Colorado State Fairgrounds. Now, the stands are jammed with monster truck fans on a beautiful night right at the foothills of the Rockies. The second round matchups go like this. Equalizer sees his first side-by-side action of the night. He's coming off a first round bye as fast qualifier to tangle with Carolina Crusher. Gary Wiggins at the wheel now, substituting for Gary Porter in the Crusher. He had to beat Tough Enough in round 1 to get here. You've got to give the edge to David Morris, who qualified almost a second faster than Gary Wiggins and saved his equipment from first round abuse. The other round 2 race matches King Crunch against Gravedigger. Rob Grossman doesn't seem to have his truck dialed in. I don't know, maybe it's the thin air. Lyle Hancock, on the other hand, has Gravedigger running at full power. Now to call the action once again, here's Joe Lowe.
Thanks, Ken. As the excitement builds, the Equalizer is back. He was our fastest qualifier, got to sit out round number 1, but here he is in round number 2. The hottest truck on the circuit out of Springfield, Tennessee, David Morris in the Equalizer. Going up against Gary Wiggins and Gary Porter's Carolina Crusher. Off the line, Carolina Crusher. Whoa, a great hole shot. David Morris trying to battle back, has some problems between the sets of cars. Has to back out of it and straighten things out. And Wiggins has no problem whatsoever taking out the Equalizer. He dug down deep. And Carolina Crusher gets a win. He has the truck tuned in for this Rocky Mountain High. And high up in the sky he goes over the second set of cars. Gary Wiggins.
Yeah, the truck seemed to work real good. We worked on it a little bit, and so we feel good about the way the truck landed and worked out.
I got her a little sideways there, and then I couldn't get my speed I needed either. He jumped out in front of me right there. He had a good hole shot, and then he just pulled me all the way down the track. I just couldn't catch him.
Our next matchup between Gravedigger and King Crunch, and Gravedigger's Lyle Hancock talks about Rob Grossman.
He's a tough competitor, and like always, he always seems to come out from behind somehow, and he'll get you in the end if you ain't real careful. So I got my guard up and got everything all tuned up, and I think we're running pretty good.
Now, the Gravedigger Racing team keeps a log of everywhere they go for fuel settings, and they certainly seem to have the digger dialed in as he gets set to go against King Crunch. Off the line, King Crunch has problems, and the Gravedigger has all sorts of power. All sorts of power as he goes over that first set of cars. Pedal to the metal and sails over the second set, and he's going to a final against Carolina Crusher in Pueblo. While most of the other trucks seem to be suffering from fuel problems, the thin air situation has not been a problem for the Carolina Crusher or the Gravedigger. Those are the two in our monster final. But Lyle insists it's been a tough night.
Well, we had to give it everything we could get and get used to the track, see how we're going to come off the cars. And I know I'm going to have to run the truck just about as hard as it's going to go we're going to get to the finals.
You came up on the short end of the stick against the Gravedigger.
Yeah, unfortunately we did, but he's got his days and we'll be back.
I noticed there's a little problem in launch. What went wrong?
Well, I hadn't told anybody, but I've been afraid something like that might happen. The motor is hurt. We hadn't been home to freshen up or put a new one in the last 2 months, and one side of the motor, I'm not running any intake valves. The cam lobes are just about flattened out, and if it makes it through this weekend's race, I'll be doing real good.
I got to be honest with you. I have never seen Gravedigger run any better than he did on that last race. Lyle Hancock has won both of his races by a mile. Gary Wiggins dug deep to come up with that little something extra that gave him his win over fast qualifier Equalizer. So the battle for the championship in Colorado will be between two guys who have come all the way from North Carolina. But only one of them gets to go back east with the big prize, and we'll find out which one is the lucky one when the U.S. HRA's Monster Truck Challenge continues in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody. The fans are having a great time under a full moon at Pueblo's Colorado State Fairgrounds. It's a perfect night for a truck named Gravedigger. Gravedigger is set to run for the championship in Pueblo after two surprisingly easy wins, a first-round victory over American Made and a second-round rout of King Crunch. But standing between Lyle Hancock and the title is Gary Wiggins, who drove Carolina Crusher to a first-round win over Tough Enough and then upset fast qualifier Equalizer in round 2. Now, since both these guys are Tar Heels, you can be sure that someone from North Carolina will be the champion in Pueblo, Colorado tonight. Here to call the action, the voice of Monster Truck Challenge, Joe Lowe.
As they come to the line, the crowd is excited, and they have reason to be. Gary Wiggins and the Carolina Crusher out of Waynesboro, North Carolina, taking over the driving duties for Gary Porter. And Lyle Hancock in Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger out of Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. Both substitute drivers. Let's see what Lyle's strategy is.
I'm not going to give him an inch. I'm going to give everything I can get on this truck. I've raced him before, and he's a hard competitor to beat.
The talking's over. Let's see what you got. Green light, showtime. Crusher and Digger. Oh my gosh. Get to the shutdown area, guys. And you can't tell who won. The red headlights of the Gravedigger. The big yellow Carolina Crusher. A great run for Digger. A great run for Crusher, but which one won? Here's Mike Speller of the U.S. Hot Rod Association to tell us which truck won this monster truck final in Pueblo, Colorado.
Well, that race was so close, and we looked at the video about 4 times, and we just could not predict the winner. So our rule says that when we're that close or it's a tie, the only thing you can do is run them again.
And as they come around to restage, as we rerun the final in Pueblo, here's another look at that great run for Carolina Crusher. A tie in a final? You saw it here on U.S. Hot Rod Association's Monster Truck Challenge. They're back on the starting line. The Gravedigger and Carolina Crusher, neither one has had a chance to cool down between runs as we rerun our final here in Pueblo. Up to the starting line they go. This is gonna be a battle, a war, as the two heavyweights go at it, neck and neck, tire and tire, door handle to door handle. Digger and Crusher off the line. And look at Gravedigger go. Both trucks running well. Gravedigger with an edge. He gets the win. He gets the win. This truck has not stopped all night long. He's dialed in, tuned in, and has a superb ability to handle this truck on a very, very tough course. Lyle Hancock Hancock with a win for the Gravedigger team, but it didn't come easy. You got to give credit to Gary Wiggins and the Carolina Crusher. He defeated Tough Enough and then the equalizer to get here. Then they had to rerun the final because we had a tie. The win goes again to Lyle Hancock and the Gravedigger.
I needed a win, I'll tell you what. We've had a pretty rough season getting it started. I didn't think that guy run that hard. I told you, it's like he'll come from behind and get you if you ain't careful. It was a dead tie there the first run, and man, I didn't know if I was going to be able to pull it off again.
How'd you feel about running the second run?
It was pretty good, actually. The people got more for their money, getting to see two of the best running trucks out there. Man, I'll tell you what, it was something else. My heart was pumping on that one.
You had to run the final twice. How'd you feel about that?
It puts a lot of pressure on you. You just don't know. It's a lot of pressure on you and the truck too, because really back-to-back running, you don't get a chance to check anything out on the truck. The last run though, it seemed to work good. It's just a matter of it was me probably the driver, and I was slow taking off.
And the fans certainly got their money's worth in Pueblo, Ken Brew.
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I have been a monster truck fan for a long, long time. That is the first time I have ever seen a race end in a tie. You got to feel for Gary Wiggins, who raced his heart out all night long. But on the other hand, Lyle Hancock had Gravedigger dialed in superbly. Yeah, it's too bad they couldn't cut the trophy in half or do something for both of these guys. But it's congratulations to Hancock, who struggled earlier in the season when he took over for the injured Dennis Anderson, but tonight in Pueblo got a huge victory. We'll be back to wrap things up on Monster Truck Challenge in just a moment. Well, the fans in Pueblo, Colorado certainly got their money's worth on a beautiful night. The crews had to adjust their fuel mixtures to compensate for the lower amount of oxygen in the air at the high altitude. But they came out screaming at the Colorado State Fairgrounds. Equalizer had a great qualifying run and a super race in the second round. But Gary Wiggins in the Carolina Crusher was too much for him. Gravedigger waltzed into the championship race. Things got real tight for Lyle Hancock. So tight that Gravedigger was tied by Carolina Crusher. Then the Digger goes out and wins it all in the rematch. We'll see you next time. I'm Ken Brew. So long, everybody.
It was something else. My heart was pumping on that one.